March definitely felt like a very long and never-ending month, but thankfully we're finally on to April. Happy April, and here is the April 2020 Artsnacks box. I didn't know anything that was inside of this box. I didn't see any teased product images from Artsnacks or any posts online prior to myself opening the box, so everything was a surprise to me, which is always how I like it because it's nice not knowing anything that's in the box. But opening up the box, everything was wrapped in the tissue paper, wrapped all neat as it always is. We also got some Smarties as our candy and the Artsnacks menu, which we get every single month. The very first thing that I ended up pulling out of the tissue paper was the sticker, which was very, very cute this month. It just had like patterns on it, and I really liked the sticker this month. Very cute, very pastel, and just light colored. We also got this Tombow water brush pen. It has a flat tip, and I'm always excited to try new water brush pens. I'm not a huge fan of them. If I'm to choose between a real brush and a water brush, I'll definitely choose the real brush, but it's always nice to try different brands of water brushes because I've only bought a couple on my own. The other ones I've received through Artsnacks, so it's interesting to see if and how they're different. I also didn't realize that this was a flat tip water brush until I actually opened the cap, so I was interested to see how I would fare with it because I'm definitely also prefer like round tips, so very interesting. We also got two of these Faber Castel Pit brush pens. They're big brush pens is what they're called, and they're full of India ink, so I was really excited to use these. Both of them were in blue, just very different tones of blue, so kind of nice that they went together a little bit. And then the next item that I had was a Sakura Micron PN, which stands for plastic nib, I believe. And I believe we've actually gotten one of these in Artsnacks previously, so I was surprised that they sent another one, but microns are always nice to have. And then last but not least, I also got two of the Faber-Castell Gold Faber Aqua watercolor pencils. I got it in like a marigold-esque color as well as a red, so between this color scheme and the color scheme that the markers I had no idea what I was gonna do with this box because the color pencils were very warm toned versus the markers were very cool toned, and it's just a very wide selection of colors, but at the same time I didn't really feel like they went along super well. But as per usual, of course I wanted to swatch everything and see how the art supplies actually looked on the paper, which is what I ended up doing next. I also have a little clip of my cat Aslan being cute because he was hanging out with me on my desk and I always appreciate his company. And when it came to the swatching, I really enjoyed working with these markers actually. They're full of India ink and they're very nice, flexible brush nibs, and I really liked coloring with these. I think these would be a supply that I'd really enjoy if I had a larger selection of, but I definitely see myself reaching for these markers in the future. They were just very pretty colors, really nice to work with. They laid down the ink really smoothly, which I appreciate a lot. And surprisingly, I also really liked the color pencils. I don't think I even have a set of watercolor pencils, honestly, which I'm okay with because watercolor pencils as a whole are an art supply that don't really appeal to me. I like working with regular watercolors, and while I'm sure there's lots of benefits to watercolor pencils, they're just not my preference, and I don't see myself really using them on my own in the future. But I really enjoyed working with these watercolor pencils. They blended really well, which is something that I personally haven't seen a lot with watercolor pencils. So any pencil marks that you put down once you reactivated them, that like blurred out the line a lot, which in my very small experience of working with watercolor pencils, that's been an issue where it doesn't reactivate the line well enough. You'll always be able to see the initial marks. But thankfully that was not the case with these pencils. They worked really nicely, they're very pretty, but again, as far as color combinations go, I was kind of at a loss of what I wanted to do with these colors, because even after I put them down I was like, they'd be really pretty on their own. I think I would have been able to function a lot better if I had just the markers or just the watercolor pencils, but I definitely wanted to do an illustration that included all of the products I received, so it was kind of a weird experience figuring out what I wanted to do with these art supplies. After swatching them, I actually took a couple days before I finally worked on the finished piece, and it was just pretty much a doodle in my sketchbook. A couple of doodles in my sketchbook is what I ended up doing. I haven't been doing a whole lot of art, especially lately. I think this was the first thing I had drawn in like a week or so. I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing, and with everything going on in the world right now, I've just been like very happy to take my sweet time zone out playing Animal Crossing and just not focus on anything art related, and then at the same time I kind of feel bad for not creating art, so I have like that weird guilt of I'm not making anything, but then I don't want to make it just because I feel bad about not making it. I want to make art because I want to make art. So I've just been spending a lot of time playing Animal Crossing, and it's been very enjoyable and peaceful, so I didn't want to push myself too much with this Artsnacks box because I didn't want to put myself in a position where I felt like I would have to make something that was like a big finished piece. Not that I necessarily do any sort of big finished pieces when it comes to Artsnacks boxes, but I really had to separate the feeling of like wanting to make something for the Artsnacks box and then wanting to make a good like finished piece that I was proud of. And by no means am I not happy with the finished pieces that I ended up drawing. I wanted to take a much more like relaxed approach to this box because I wasn't super inspired, as I mentioned before, by the color schemes. I just wasn't like having the best time with it, I guess. And by no means was it the supplies. I think just the combination of I haven't been feeling super creative and super like excited or wanting to make art recently, mixed with like working with supplies that I'm not familiar with, etc. It was a weird situation for me, but I pushed myself a little bit to at least draw something, whether or not I liked how it turned out, and I actually really like this first sketch that I ended up doing. I felt like it wasn't enough, which isn't true, but I felt like it wasn't enough, so I ended up doing another sketch, and that one I don't like as much, and part of the reason behind that is because I didn't really plan anything. I just kind of started coloring, and it went downhill very fast in my opinion. But this sketch especially, I really like how it turned out. I really like how the colored pencils worked as a skin tone, which is like the yellow accents and everything. It was very pretty, and I did actually really like the way the colors worked together in this sketch. I thought the blue and the like red and yellow complemented each other really well, especially the like almost teal color that one of the markers had. I really liked that color. I really like these markers. Even though they have India ink in them, if you use the water brush on top of them, like right after you lay down the ink, you're still able to reactivate it, so you can kind of have a watercolor-esque effect on top of that. So that was really nice to work with when it came to giving her hair kind of like a gradient going down. So I really enjoyed doing that. And then when it came to the second sketch, I just kind of went for it. I didn't plan anything. I just started activating the like India ink pens and then the water, and I sketched with yellow, and then once it blended in with the pen, it made this green. And then she had like very zombie looking skin, and I kind of went with it at first, and then I added the blue hair, and then she really started to look like Emily from Corpse Bride, and at that point I was just like, was very done with this drawing. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I wanted to try and fix it, but I wasn't sure how or if I should, but I played with it a little bit, and I was hoping it would kind of fix itself if I added other colors in it, but it really wasn't working. So towards the end of working on that sketch, I actually went over most of her face with white ink just to kind of give myself a new surface to paint over and make her look less zombie-like. And it kind of worked. It definitely didn't match the paper, so it looked weird, but I played with it a little bit, and I definitely like the final outcome versus how it looked before I did that, so I'm glad I did it. It was a weird process and definitely not what I was going for, but it ended up working out in the end. So I'm much more a fan of the drawing on the left versus the drawing on the right, but I'm glad I kind of played with the supplies more. I do really actually like the supplies in this box. I think the main thing was like I haven't been very creative lately, and I was not a huge fan of the color combination, but as a whole I really did like the supplies that came in this box. The water brush pen is probably my least favorite, honestly, just because it was a flat tip and I feel much more comfortable working with a round water brush pen, but as a whole, like I said, I really like this box. If you got the April 2020 Artsnacks box, let me know in the comments below what color combinations you got, because I actually don't know any of the other ones that are out there. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.